All right, back with another analytics video. We're going to do Tom Brady this time. His numbers are actually good. Like, his advanced statistics are overwhelmingly good. So definitely a bit of a surprise because, obviously the offense isn't going well, but I don't think it's Brady's fault, and the numbers do not say it's Brady's fault. But there's still some interesting things that do come into play that I think are fascinating to talk about with just the whole Buccaneers offense, not just Brady. So let's just jump into it. First chart we're going to look at is going to be a very sort of simple chart, but also, decent amount to talk about. So let's talk about it. Several different categories. I'm just going to go down the list, starting from the left and going to the right, because that's how we read. And then I'm just going to talk about, what the stat means and then what I make of it. So first off, his Pro Football Focus grade is 7th best in football, and PR is passer rating. His passer rating is 8th best in football. So right off the bat, kind of the two main statistics I will look at are good for Brady right off the bat. I mean, and even like passer rating, which is sort of a results-based stat, has still been fairly good for the Buccaneers. So definitely a surprise right away. Big part of that is the next stat, turnover-worthy plays. He's the best in football. First is best. Because again, I never know, it should first be worst, should first be best. In this situation, first is best in this situation. So he does not put the ball in harm's way. He has not been putting the ball in harm's way so far this season, and that's part of what has allowed him to have a high passer rating, but maybe not some volume stats you might be looking for. Big time throw percentage is 11th best in football, so he's still getting some big time throws, at least according to the Pro Football Focus graders, certainly. Average depth of target, though, is on the low side at 24th highest in football. So that's not necessarily a stat that is good or bad. It's just, it lets you know what's going on. So it's, average depth of target. How far down the field do you throw? First means you're chucking the ball down the field deep every play. For the Buccaneers, that's just not how they operate. They're more of a, there's about 35 teams, 35 quarterbacks eligible here. So 24th, nearing the bottom 10. So he's definitely throwing the ball not too far down the field. Adjusted completion percentage still isn't that great. It's 19th best, which, given the fact that he doesn't throw the ball down the field too much, I think you would expect that to be higher. One thing worth noting, though, time to throw, fastest in football. Again, another one of those stats should first be the highest, should first be the lowest. But in this scenario, it's the fastest in football, time to throw. So, again, makes sense. He's getting rid of the ball quickly. He's not putting the ball in harm's way. He's not throwing the ball relatively far. And as a whole, the results have been solid, top 10, but maybe not top 3 that we've seen him, do the first couple years he was in Tampa. But let's get into some other, I think, more interesting stats. I have two tables to talk about. First, we're going to talk about how well he does and how often he throws the ball certain depths down the field. And to me, this is the clear issue with the Buccaneers right now. This is just straight up what's going wrong with the Buccaneers and what they have to fix, and I don't think they will. But this is what they probably should be fixing, is starting at the top. So in the 20-plus yards down the field range, his Pro Football Focus grade is second best in football among quarterbacks when they're throwing that far down the field. So he's doing great at those types of plays. The results haven't been quite as great. Passer rating is just 13th best on those plays. So, the results aren't quite as good as his grade has been, but still, those aren't bad results either. You'll certainly take 13th best in football, but they're only throwing at 24th most down the field. So they're having a very cautious approach, and even the next category down, you see kind of a similar thing. Brady's 7th best according to PFF on those types of, in the 10 to 19 range. You have the 9th best passer rating, but they're still only throwing at 20th most. And so, part of you wonders, is the passer rating lower just because of those games where they had no receivers due to the injuries and the Mike Evans suspension and stuff? And would that just go up just simply having receivers? Probably. So it'd probably be closer to matching Brady where Brady's at. But still, they're just not throwing the ball down the field at all. They're throwing the ball a ton in that 0 to 9 range. I mean, that's where they're living right now. Brady loves his checkdowns, and listen, the guy's won Super Bowls doing it this way. I get the logic, but this team just isn't built for that. I mean, they're 21st in PFF grade and 20th in passer rating. And again, that's among eligible quarterbacks, so there's not 32. There's actually a few more quarterbacks in there. It's, again, around 35 total eligible quarterbacks. So that's important to note, but still, they're acting like they're acting like they have Christian McCaffrey. They're acting like they have Saquon Barkley. They're acting like they have a running back that should be, who they run their offense through, despite the fact that that's easily the weakest part of this team. Fournette's a fine running back, but Fournette is just that. He's a fine running back. He's nothing special, and Tom Brady and this receiving core is special. So to me, this is the issue. This is where the Buccaneers are going wrong. If they're going to win a Super Bowl, they have to fix this, I think. The no risk it, no biscuit mentality was, what won them a Super Bowl. I don't know why you would go away from that, and nearly won them a Super Bowl last year as well. They were inches away from beating that Rams team that ended up winning it all. Behind the line of scrimmage, there's very rare things I take away from the PFF grade and passer rating because, only a few points in both of those categories separate the best from the worst. It's just, basically behind the line of scrimmage plays tend to always result in the same scenario. So I don't really care too much about it, but, throwing it not too much there either. So it really is that 0 to 9 range where the Buccaneers are living. Finally, last chart. This is just going to, see how well he does in when a specific thing happens. So for the first one, when he's kept clean, Pro Football Focus grade, 9th best in football, passer rating 12th best in football. And again, this is among other players when they are kept clean. So you're not competing against guys just in general, you're competing against the guys in these scenarios. When he's pressured, he does worse, and the results are much worse so far this season. He has not been overly effective when he's pressured. The passer rating is 30th in football. So this is the other issue and this is part of what we know about Brady, right? Brady is someone who he can't move around too much. There's only so much he can do. He has elite pocket presence, but there's only so much value that brings you. So, that's something that has been a bit of an issue so far for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is I think some of these pressures are coming so quickly. That's why it's been worse. But I think that also Brady has struggled a bit at, when he's under pressure. Sometimes you can still try to make something happen. It's not just a scenario where you're screwed. So, that's something that maybe they have to work on. And again, maybe just having your receivers healthy now will help with that. But, the receivers have been healthy for a decent chunk of the season. So you can't make that excuse for everything. Under 2.5, that's when he gets rid of the ball in under 2.5 seconds. This is what Brady's known for, right? Quickest time to throw in football. But he's actually not been that great at this stuff this year. 20th best in football at that stuff, and the results are 15th best. What's really fascinating is that when he takes over 2.5 seconds, PFF has him graded as the best quarterback in football at that, but the results are basically unchanged. He's 15th in both of those two situations. So that's a very unique and fascinating situation, but I think part of it is they just haven't done it that much, so just sort of a smaller sample size on those types of plays, and I want to see them push the ball down the field more. That's really what it comes down to. Brady can push the ball down the field without having to take forever. Brady, I believe it was during their Super Bowl year, had both the, he was up there in highest average depth of target. He might have even been number 1 at one point and still got rid of the ball as quicker than any other quarterback, which is kind of feels like an anomaly, but that's what he was able to do. The reality is, we know what this Buccaneers team is. We've seen them for several years. They're relatively unchanged. You know what they are. So why are you acting like there's something different? Why are you trying to reinvent the wheel here? Do what was successful. Don't do what you prefer to do. Don't do what you think is. It feels like they're outsmarting themselves a little bit. And they're trying to be, the football rah-rah guys of we got to establish the run. Listen, establishing the run is fine, but, a bad running game that you stick to hurts your team a lot more than abandoning the running game. It just does, and there's plenty of evidence to back that up. And not just the running game, but all these checkdowns and stuff. Like you can push the ball down the field. You can throw up a jump ball to Mike Evans. He's good. He'll catch those. You can do that sometimes, and hopefully they will eventually start to. So that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.